Exhale. And it might be that you're being very expansive and you're making big movements. So we're sitting here, cross-legged in Sukhasana, and just moving and stretching, eyes closed, dropping down into being in your body. And keep moving. So let's keep it dynamic, just small movements. And now we're going to take the attention into the breath as well. So start to move and incorporate the breath into the movement. So for instance, if you were moving forward, you'd be breathing out. If you were moving backwards, you'd be inhaling. So when you are moving to open the chest, you inhale. If you're moving in a way that compresses the chest a little, exhale and tie the breath to the movement. If that all sounds a little too confusing, then just focus on moving the body, moving the spine. Maybe you want to bring a little twist into this free play movement. And breathe deeply and slowly. And inhale through your nostrils. Exhale through your mouth. There we go. Well done. That's it. So we're going to come into a little bit of breath work together. We're going to balance the body. So we've done that nice little bit of exploring, pushing into where muscles might be feeling a little constricted and releasing. So sit up tall, move if you need to. So have a little bit of a wiggle. Make sure that your sit bones are firmly on the mat and you feel that you're completely supported. So you can steady and still and calm the body, knowing that you have that lovely solid base supporting you. So think about your pelvis, and from here we're stacking up. So one vertebra at a time, all the way up. Think about that progression up the spine, into the neck, into the back of the head, and then the crown of your head lifting up towards the ceiling. So that nice lifting sensation. And the same with the chest. We want to be quite open in the chest. So think about lengthening through the front of the body, lifting the sternum just a tiny bit. Maybe exaggerate the movement to start and then settle back, but keep the lift. And then into the sides of the body as well, up under your arms. And we do all of that, and then all of a sudden we decide that we're going to pay attention to the shoulders, and they are tense and they're up by our ears. So then after all of that lifting, we soften in the shoulders, soften in the hands, soften in the legs, and in the face as well. Then come all the way back to checking that you're still lifting the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. So that constant checking in with the body. So we're all comfortable here. Change the cross of your feet. Let's make it feel a bit weird. So everything else stays the same, just change the cross of the feet. And then we're going to come into a nice steady box breath. So close your eyes. We're inhaling and we're drawing an imaginary line from top left to top right. So if your eyes are moving, you'd be looking up, top left, inhale to top right, exhale to bottom right, inhale to bottom left, exhale to top left. So track that line with your eyes. We're breathing in with each inhale into the nostrils. We're breathing out through the mouth. So we're going to start that box breath again. You might end up being more like a rectangle. So we're going to start together. So top left, inhale, top right. Exhale, bottom right. Inhale, bottom left. Exhale, top left. Inhale, moving your eyeballs over to top right. Exhale, moving your gaze with your closed eyes to bottom right. And we're going over to the bottom left. And then we should be on an exhale up to top left. I'll leave you to go at your own pace. Let's do 3 of these box breaths together. If it all gets a bit confusing, don't worry. Just inhale and exhale as slowly as you can, focusing on the out breath. You're probably going to want to go a lot slower than we were just breathing together. Let your breath be the guide. And the line follows the breath. As you move through the breath, maybe you don't want to move your eyes anymore. Maybe you're just moving your mind's eye, your attention. Still keeping lifted, keeping tall. And make this the last round. Full inhale and exhale. Noticing how much your chest expands with each in-breath, then how empty you can make that whole space feel with the out-breath, especially towards the end of the out-breath, squeezing every last little bit out. And relax your toes, relax your knees, relax your shoulders and your shoulder blades. And well done. Coming back to center. Okay, let's start to move a little. So I invite you to open your eyes. Let's take the hands forward and walk them forward. So give them a little bit of a job to do. We're going to step forward. Even if you're not going any further forward, still lifting that right arm up to shoulder height, leaning into the left, and then popping it down. And again, lifting up the left arm. We're not going any further forward, but we're just rolling over to the right a little as we lift the left, and then placing that down, and then the same again. So starting to work a little bit into the hips as well as the spine here. Keep your head low so your gaze is just directly at the floor in front of you. Inhale to come up, exhale to come back down, hands flat to the floor. Inhale, one hand up, rolling over onto the other side, and back down. Walking slowly back, all the way up to sitting, and we're going to come into a side bend. So we're really going to wake up the top half of the body, and then we're going to be working quite a lot into the legs. So take your right hand to the mat on the right side. And then we're going to lift that left arm up nice and tall with a big inhale. And then exhaling, creeping the right hand away. Maybe bringing the forearm down to the mat if that works for you. And when you're ready, inhaling back up again. Staying here and then exhaling. Hold. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, fold. And inhale, come back up. Let's go over to the other side. So left arm comes down, right arm comes up on a nice big inhale. Exhale, we're going to fold over to the left side, bringing your forearm to the mat, at least stretching your fingertips out. And then we're going to inhale, coming up just to the midline, and exhale, folding over again. Inhale, just to the midline. Exhale, folding over to the side again. A nice big stretch in the side, squeezing into the left, stretching into the right, coming all the way back up again. And then let's take our arms forwards. So reach forward, open up nice and wide. Keep your arms at that level. Bring them around behind you. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Nice big squeeze there. At the same time, drop your chin to your chest or towards your chest. It's quite hard to dip the head down when you're pulling your shoulder blades towards each other so firmly. And then lifting your head, bring your arms down behind you and find a clasp. So holding onto your right hand with your left hand or clasping your fingers. Bringing the palms of your hands together if you can, if that works. Otherwise, just the fingers. And then rolling your shoulders back, bringing your shoulder blades together and pushing your hands down towards the floor. So to add on here, if you're comfortable here, stay here. We're lifting the chest, lifting the sternum, lots of length in the neck as well. So lift the chin a little. And if you can, pushing your hands away, rolling your shoulders out towards each other and squeezing your shoulder blades together. So lifting your arms up and away from the floor. Not a huge movement, just a nice big stretch in the chest. Not a big amount of space for breath here, so don't worry too much. Just make sure it's steady and even. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And release. Big hug, bring your arms around very slowly. That was a big stretch on the shoulders, so very gently to uncurl. And then holding onto your shoulder blades, drop your chin, round your back. Feeling a deep sense of love and gratitude. And inhaling to come back up. This time we're keeping the arms out. So arms are out, and we're going to do some small circles. Keep your breath steady and even. And remember which arm was on top just then for that hug, because the next one we want the other arm on top. So circles are getting a little bit bigger. If you're drawing a huge snail shell on each side. I think this should be a better thing to think about than a snail, because you'd finish the circles very quickly with a snail, wouldn't you? So just doing these endless looping whirl from the center, and then starting to think about bringing that movement from your shoulders. So forget about the arms for a minute. Let's take that movement from the shoulders. Arms just follow. Do you see the difference? I'm not leading with the hands, we're leading with the shoulders. And as your arms come back, the chest comes up. As your arms come up and down and round, the chest comes forward. So it's huge chest and arm and shoulder movement. And stop. Just bring your arms down beside your body. Settle for a moment. Take a breath. Were you holding your breath just then? If you were, remember that we're going to be breathing through this one, and then we're going to reverse. So we're starting again with the shoulders and your back and your core. So make that movement fully from your core, from your belly button upwards, well, even below the belly button. So big movements. Match your breath to the movement. Do what feels comfortable. So we're starting to make those circles a little smaller, which is good, because I don't know about you, but my shoulders are starting to feel a little bit tired. So a little bit smaller on the movement. Still using the chest, using the core, using the sides of your body. And then we start moving that into the arms, much less in the chest. We're up in the upper arms now, getting smaller and smaller. Feeling that in the forearms, feeling it back into the hands. And smaller still. What are we? We should be about dinner plate size now, depending on how big your dinner plates are, I suppose. Coming down, 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 bangle size, down, maybe into ring size, and stop. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, slowly bringing your arms in for a hug. And hopefully that feels really, really good. Bringing your chin to your chest again. Allowing a nice little gentle rounding of the back. And coming up. Well done. Lots of nice warming up there. Should be feeling like you've done something. Taking your chin to your chest and lifting the chin. So we're drawing a circle with the chin now, all the way up to the ceiling, back of the head to the top of your back. And send your chin up towards the ceiling. So we're stretching out now, communication center. All the hair in the throat, if it's feeling a little tight. Think about what you haven't been saying. You've been holding to yourself. Lift and release. Lift and release. Lift. See if you can get that feeling that you're moving your whole chest just with your chin. And relax. Now slowly back. Very, very slowly. You always have to be very gentle with the neck. Here we go. Well done. Okay, we're going to come up onto knees and hands first because we're going to warm up the spine. And we're going to do quite a leggy practice today. Legs and thighs. So here in your tabletop position, make sure you've got enough padding for your knees. I'm very excited because I found an old mat, my favorite mat from Oman yesterday in a box. Very nice. So here we're going to pivot back and forward. So we're pushing into the wrists, pushing past that point almost of comfort there, and then all the way back. Push with your hands, resist with your legs when you're coming back. And then when you're coming forward, push with your legs, resist with your arms. So everything's engaged, everything's working here. We're not just sliding backwards and forwards. We're actually working all the muscles here and a lovely warm up. So one more time, pushing back with your hands, resisting with your feet. So you're not letting that movement happen easily. You're pushing against it. And then come back. Come to neutral. Let's come into cat-cow combination. So Chakravakasana. We'll start by taking the belly button down towards the mat, lifting your head, lifting your hips. So here we want to feel that the shoulders are wide. So make sure you've got enough space between your hands so that your shoulders don't feel constricted. They feel like they've got lots of room. And just slightly bring your shoulders back as well as your head coming back and lifting your hip bones up towards the ceiling. And then we start to move. So start to move with the head and the hips and allow the spine to follow. We exhale to come into our cat. Think about getting that mid back up towards the sky, up to the ceiling. Think about bringing your chin back towards your chest again, lengthening throughout the whole of the back of the neck. And bringing your hips forward. So squeezing your thighs, the fronts of your thighs, to draw your hip bones closer towards your elbows. And then we're slowly releasing. So the head releases, the hips release, and the spine follows. And we take a nice big inhale as we come into our cow. So now you have done that full range of movement. All of us together, move at your own pace. Move with your breath. So we exhale to come into cat. We're going to be a lot faster than we were just now. We were just setting up the movement and making sure that we were all doing the same thing and moving with the breath. So you're just curling your spine one way and then curling it the other. That's all you need to remember. When that becomes almost boring and your mind starts to think about other things, then you can bring in what the legs are doing, what the arms are doing, what the chin is doing, what the mid-back is doing, what your breath is doing. Keep your mind fully focused and occupied on your body just for now, for this hour together. This is your practice. The more you focus internally, the more you're going to get out of it. And come to neutral. Let's take the knees wide. So we're going to take the big toes together. So touch your big toes together. Take your knees almost to the edge of the mat and then slide your hips back. So your sit bones touch your heels And then we're going to slide the arms forward as well, bringing your chest down towards the mat, bringing your forehead to the mat, and resting here. With all that movement in the spine, keeping the legs wide here helps to ease any tension in the lower back. And then we're going to walk the hands up, tuck the toes, and we're coming into a squat. So toes get tucked under, bring your knees out, and they're already out to the side, so that's lovely. We've got a nice outward knee squat. Don't think that's actually a proper term. Let's take the right knee down and left knee comes up. So put yourself onto tiptoes on the left foot, and then we're going to reverse. We're actually on tiptoes on both feet, but really push the toes into the mat. Push your knee up towards the ceiling as the left knee comes down and the right knee pokes up towards the ceiling. And then we'll swap around. So you can use your hands for support, or if you want to, you can take your hands off and put them on your knees. And then you've got to bring in a little bit of balance and a lot more strength to get yourself over from one side to the other. So do what works for you. You've got that nice big opening in the hips, nice big stretch. And if you've got your hands on your legs, you can add onto the stretch by pushing the knees away from each other. Ooh, I put my foot flat on the floor. Keep up on toes if you can. And then let's come back to center. Make those movements a little slower. Nice stretching in the feet. So less of a movement. And then let's come up into a balanced posture. If you need to, find a piece of furniture or something that you can just gently have a couple of fingertips on, or even just one fingertip also helps. Otherwise, coming into a balance here. So switch on your core, lift your pelvic floor. You want some nice engagement. Feel that you are closing and lifting your Muladhara chakra, the base chakra. We're going to take the hands down and straighten the legs. So bring the legs very slowly to a straightened position, dropping your head down. A little bit of a bend in the knee. We've still got our feet, toes pointing outwards. Just a relaxed forward bend. Allow your head and neck to be completely at rest here. Noticing any stretching happening in the back, in your arms, in the backs of your legs. And then slowly, using the strength in your legs, gently uncurling, uncoiling, unfolding. So many uns. Slowly, slowly coming up. So use your lower back. Slowly, use your mid back, use your upper back, coming up to standing. Lovely. Right. Now we're going to be doing some moving. We're going to come into a warrior sequence. So let's start off with our toes pointing to the narrow end of the mat. Take a big step forward, take a small step back. So hips are aligned with the narrow end of the mat. So pop your hands on your hips and turn your hips sideways. So hips are sideways, and from your hips, you want to be stacking the spine up without too much of a curve in the lower back. So how do we do that? We just tuck the hips under, and we should feel it in the left hip flexor here. And if you feel a bit wobbly, all you have to do is just take your feet a little further away from the midline. So you've got a little bit more space between your feet. The more your feet are lined up, the more wobbly you're going to be, but that's sometimes what you want. You want to challenge. It is up to you how much you want to challenge yourself today. And sometimes challenging yourself is not the right thing to be doing. So try and tap into what is the right thing for you. Okay, shoulders relaxed, sternum lifted. So we want that length in the front of the body, length in the back too, length in the sides of the body. And then we're going to swoop the arms forward, nice and strong. Bend that front knee and allow the back foot, the heel, to come off the mat, or turn your foot out to the side. Depends on how you prefer to come into your warrior. So we want that stretch and pull in the left hip flexor, and we want that right thigh to be working extremely hard. Lift the chin. Give yourself some space in the front of your body. Lift your shoulders a little and then relax the shoulder blades. Gaze is forwards. Your drishti point is probably where the ceiling and the wall meet each other. Breathing in and out. One more, lengthen through that back leg. Squeeze the left glute in and out. Well done. Now straighten that right leg, come all the way up, come back to center. So we give yourself a little pivot back to center, hands on hips, and we're going to come into Prasarita Padottanasana to have a little break in between our warriors. Too many warriors all in one go could get a bit much. So crown of the head pointing forward, knees pointing forwards, sit bones pointing out behind you, and then your head, your neck, your back, your hips all in line. Breathe in through your nostrils, out through your mouth. And then this is only a very short rest, so we're going to come all the way back up, using the strength in your legs, and then we're over to the other side. So let's have a little pivot over to the other side. Your legs might be the right distance apart, they might not. Adjust if you need to. So we want to check that the hips are in line. So bring your hands to your hip bones. Have your elbows out to the sides, and you should be able to see whether you're in line. And then we want to have a little bit of a lift of the hips to the front. So tuck your tailbone under. Feel that extra little stretch in the right hip flexor now. Chin is lifted, so we've got space in the front of the body. And then we're going to inhale the arms up, exhale, bending that left leg now. Figure out what you want to do with the right foot. Again, if you're feeling wobbly, if you've got a bit of a wobble, take the legs a little further away from the midline. Okay, lift your chest here, sink your shoulder blades down. Think about pushing the floor away with your feet, engaging that right thigh, stretching into the right hip flexor, strong in the left leg here. And breathe. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Inhale. And exhale. Taking the arms softly down, straightening the leg, back to center, facing forwards. And this time, Prasarita Padottanasana, I'm just going to slide the hands all the way down the legs. So right hand, right leg, left hand, left leg, but slowly. Slow fold. Think about that lower back being very gently eased into this position. Bringing your hands to the floor, just underneath your head, and allowing the weight of your head to drag and pull and stretch all the little muscles in your neck and down your back in a very relaxed and gentle way. Close your eyes if you've got your balance here. Take a deep inhale and exhale. So while we're here, we're going to come into a little bit of a twist. Taking your right hand over to your Well, take both hands over to your left foot. So we're going to do walk over, hello left foot. So right hand holds on to left foot or left ankle or left shin. And then we're going to swoop that left arm up, opening the chest out to the side, lifting your fingertips up towards the ceiling. And at the same time, gentle pull round with the right arm. Keeping your legs strong. Opening your left shoulder up and out. Head is still low. Neck is doing nothing much here. This is all in the side of the body here and the arms and legs. And then bringing that left arm back down. Walking over to the other side now. Nice slow walk. Take your time and notice all the little changes as the right leg and the left leg sort of swap functions here. So left hand, nice firm hold on the right leg somewhere, and then swooping that right arm up and out. Or out and then up, I guess. Probably a bit more accurate. Little bit of a micro bend in the knees. Try not to lock the legs. Lifting that right arm up. So lengthening through the elbow. Inhaling through your nostrils, exhaling through your mouth. Lovely stretch in the backs of the legs, all the psoas muscles, the sartorius, the gracilis. There's big muscles in your thighs. Everything having to switch on and work and play its part here. And then let's come back down. That right arm, come to center. So we're going to link arms, drop your head, just folding forward. Here, it's really important that you have a little bit of a bend in your knee, on the right and the left. And then we're going to uncurl. So you're going to have to use the strength in your legs here to slowly bring yourself up to standing. Last thing to come up is going to be your head, coming all the way up. Well done. So we're in exactly the right position for our warrior two. So stay here, but just turn the right foot out so that your toes are pointing to the narrow end of your mat, and keep your hips in line with the long end of the mat. So if you need to check, put your hands on your hips, check where your elbows are, and there you are. I'm sure you've got it. So take your chin over now to your right shoulder. Take your arms out at shoulder height. Now take a breath. Let's set up for warrior properly. Inhaling. Lift the chest. Make space between your sternum and your pubic bone. Nice firm turn with the head so that your chin is above your right shoulder. Your fingertips are stretching away from each other. Now remember, you're a warrior here. And then we're going to slide over to the right because we're bending that right knee. If you find that your right knee goes over your ankle, you can just squiggle your toes forwards. Watch what's happening with the back leg. You might need to turn it slightly to make sure that your back leg is comfortable. And breathe. Here we are, lovely, strong warrior two. And we're holding for 3 slow, deep breaths. This is 2. And this is 3. Can you sink a little lower? And then we're bringing the left hand back down to the left leg, lifting the right arm up. Big stretch under the arm. Squeeze into the left side. So we're compressing all those ribs together in the left while opening up on the right. Legs are still working here. And looking up or looking forwards, whatever works better for your neck. And then coming back to level with the arms. Taking the right arm, leaning onto that right leg now. So everything changes. Lifting the left arm up and, if appropriate, over. So you've got a nice line from your fingertips to the outer edge of your left leg. Lean into that right leg, nice and strong. And smile and breathe, and so much to remember. Well done. And then we're going to be lifting to come out. So take that arm up to the midline and lift, coming all the way out. Turn your feet to face forward, toes facing forward, and let's come into Prasarita Padottanasana just for a rest. So hands to hips, and then hands to your lower back. So your right hand and your left hand just gently clasped at your lower back, knees bent, kneecaps lifted. Close your eyes if your balance will let you. And let's feel that change in flow. Pressure into the cheeks, into the backs of the eyes, your forehead. We're just feeding the face, feeding the brain, feeding the scalp, feeding all the hair follicles, feeding the ears, eyes. Breathe here. Relax your shoulders. If it's more relaxing for you, just let your arms drop. And then we're uncurling to come out. Now remember, it's all in the legs here, so squeeze the muscles in your thighs, straightening the back, and then coming out. And here we are, we're going warrior on the other side. So left toes point to the narrow end of your mat. Hips stay in line with the long end. Here we are, nice strong arms. So think about your fingertips. Engage your arms all the way. So from your shoulders to your upper arms, your elbows, your lower arms, forearms even, that's what they're called, isn't it? And your hands. So everything should be firm and engaged and strong. And then chin over to the left even. I was just about to say right there. Left shoulder. And then we're going to bend the left knee. Now wiggle and swiggle around till you find the right pacing for you. The right pacing, the right placing. Either one of those two. And breathe. Strong warrior. Drop your shoulders. Squeeze into that right glute. Strong in your right leg as well, not just all into the left leg. Think about the soles of your feet pressing into the ground. Lift your pelvic floor. And then we're taking the right arm down, lifting the left arm up, pointing up to the sky. Feel that lovely stretch in your right hip. Feel that lovely compression in your left side, the other way around, right side. Oh, goodness me. Rights and lefts, hey? Breathe. And then we're going to lift to come out, and that lovely rest. So you find that little resting spot. Maybe stretch a little more if you need to. And then the right arm comes up and over. And a big stretch all the way from fingertips to the outer edge of your right leg. And breathe. Breathe, 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 breathe. And then we're going to be lifting to come out. This time we're not coming to Prasarita Padottanasana. Walk your legs a little closer together and find you've got space, hopefully on your mat, to bring yourself into downward facing dog. So down dog. But this time it's going to be a dynamic down dog. So we're going to be bending the knees. So bend the right knee, drop the right hip to the side, and then straighten the right leg, bend the left, and slide the hips over to the left side. And the same again on the right. So you should feel that even into the ribs, keeping your back in line. We're doing a nice little twist to the side, side spine twist. We're just moving your hips right to left, keeping your head and neck and arms where they are, and then walking yourself back to your downward facing dog, head and neck. Relax, shoulders wide, pushing the floor away with your hands, lifting your sit bones up towards the ceiling. And breathe. Heels down towards the floor. Breathe. And then looking forward, bring your knees towards the mat and let's have a hover first. Use your breath for power here. Inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale. And drop your knees down to the mat. Release your feet. You know, anytime you can adapt, anytime you can come to Balasana. So we're going to come straight to Balasana now. So big toes together, pushing yourself gently back, slowly back, and then relaxing forward. So bringing your chest to your thighs, bringing your forehead down towards the mat. And either keeping your hands forward, or if you would like to rest your shoulders, gently bringing them to rest. Your arms to rest either side of your legs, your hands by your feet, palms facing upwards. Now we've done a lot of forward bending. We're going to come into a back bend. So bring yourself gently up. Let's come to kneeling. So Ustrasana or camel. People either tend to love it, and that's usually when they find it easy, or they hate it because it feels difficult and confronting. Or you could be somewhere in the middle where it's not your favorite, but you don't mind it. So let's come up to kneeling. So I invite you today to notice how you feel about the camel, the full camel, and see if you can work out why you feel the way you feel about the camel, whether you love it or hate it. So I also invite you to double fold your mat because this can be quite harsh on knees. So up in this lovely kneeling position, feet out behind you, lifted from your knees upwards, and just a gentle squeeze of the glutes to make sure that you are beautifully engaged. Give yourself some space in the front of the body and open your shoulders wide. So that might be bringing them forward and then opening them up a little. Tuck your toes under. So we want a nice high foot here because we don't want to have too far to reach back. At the same time, you do need some stability, so you will need to tuck them under a little bit. So Ustrasana. If you love coming into Ustrasana, please go ahead and come into Ustrasana. But otherwise, we're going to go one side and then the other first. So taking your arms wide here, opening up across the shoulders. So that's the stretch that we're looking for, but we intensify it by doing this stretch in Ustrasana. So really that's it. This is all we're looking for, that nice big opening in the chest. So take a little bit of a turn to the left, look down, find your heel with your left hand, keep that right arm up. Now rest into that left heel and allow the right arm to come out as far back as you will allow it to drop. If you can add in with letting your head drop back, go ahead and let your head drop back. Bringing your right arm up, bringing your gaze round, lifting yourself out, and coming over to the other side. So arms are open wide, find your right heel, left arm is open, let the arm drop back, let the head drop back. And then lifting the left arm up, pulling up and releasing. Okay, so we have half Ustrasana, half Anustrasana. The other way to go in is to pop your hands on your lower back. Now, we don't want too much bend in the lower back. We want the movement to be coming from the mid and upper back. So we're going to use the thighs here, nice strong thighs, and we're going to just fold, pivot, lean back. So the fronts of your thighs should hopefully be shouting at you a little bit now, and then come back to the midline. And then come back. And back to the midline. Always reminds me of a deck chair, this posture. And then back. Let go of the left side. See if you can feel and find your foot. If you can, rest and then bring the right hand back to. You'll need to open up in the chest. If you can, great. Otherwise, stay on one side and then come off that side and come onto the other side. If you're in Ustrasana, either keep your gaze up and your chin up, or allow your chin to come all the way back and bring your gaze back behind you. And to come out, come over to one side and lift away. Bring your hands towards the floor, bring your feet out flat behind you. Unfold your mat if you have folded it. And let's come forward into Balasana to ease any tension in the lower back. Because we're not together, it is very important that you pay very close attention to how you're feeling and working out what is right for you and what is not right for you, and listening to your body. And then let's uncurl and unfold. Bring the legs round. Well done. Whew. So bring your legs round. Make sure that you've got enough space. Give them a little bit of a wiggle. And then we're going to come into Navasana. So another balance posture. We've done some balance postures, but they've been very subtle little balance postures. So find your balance spot, your balance place. Back and neck long and straight if you can. And then lift the legs. So hold on, or just gently touch, or hover by the side. Find your level today. And no one level is better than the other. Bring your heels close together, toes together, knees together. Try to keep your neck and head and back in line with each other. And then we're going to uncurl, come down to the ground, however works for you. Gentle collapse is what I've just gone for today. So a little bit of a rock from side to side. A lovely rock from side to side. Just easing the back, easing the top of the back, and giving the hips a little bit of a roll as well. And then bringing your feet flat to the floor. Bringing your hands either side. Pushing your hips up towards the ceiling. So another little bit of a curl in the lower back here. Up into the mid back. And working the hips. So nice big stretch in the hip flexors. Nice big squeeze into the glutes. So quite a hippie practice today. And then rolling back down Bringing your knees into your chest, giving yourself a big hug, taking your arms out to the sides, taking your knees over to the right side and your head over to the left. So knees first, then head. Arms are out in line with your shoulders and relax your shoulders, soften through your shoulders. And then gently back, head first, back to center, then your knees, skim them gently across and over to the other side. So with control, nice and slow, bringing them over to rest. And it's up to you how high up you have your legs, or whether you want to straighten the top leg or hardly have any bend in the knees at all. Do what works for you. Every time you practice yoga, do something a little different with this final twist and find what really works. It might not be the same every single time. It'll depend on what you've been doing every day. It'll depend on what you're doing in your practice and how you're feeling. Bringing your head back to center now. Bringing your knees back into center. Give yourself a hug. Well done. Nice big hug, a little bit of a rock from side to side. Now we're going to come into Shavasana, but if it's appropriate for you for today, bring the soles of your feet together, bring your feet close to your hips and allow your knees to drop out to the side. So you either come into Shavasana as a traditional, everyday, regular, standard Shavasana with your legs out, your arms out, a little bit of starfish shape going on, or come into your Shavasana if you can comfortably relax in this position with the soles of your feet together and your knees out to the side. If that feels good, if that's what you want to do, find what you need to be comfortable here and bring yourself into your Shavasana. Close your eyes. Allow your body to settle and soften and ease. Relax your shoulders, relax your jaw. Scan around the whole of your body and find the places where muscles are tight and engaged and holding yourself in a particular position, and allow them to let go. Give them permission to let go. Make them let go. You're completely supported here. Nothing needs to be switched on and active in your active muscle control. The smooth muscle will be working away as it does 24/7 every day of the year. All those functions that you know will just carry on. You don't need to regulate your stomach muscles. You don't need to regulate your intestines. You don't need to regulate lungs, really. It will all happen. Your heart will keep beating. So conscious muscle control sometimes gets switched on and left on, especially if we've been a little stressed or a little worried recently. It becomes a habit. So just tell those muscles that they can have a rest. And bring your attention to your breath. Let's take the breath right down into the belly, allowing the belly to dome, and then filling up the chest, filling up the whole of your body with air, and exhaling, softening, relaxing, letting go, easing. Taking a moment on empty before filling up again, and then holding for just a gentle moment on full before letting go of that breath. And as you breathe out, you're letting go. Let go of expectation, let go of control, let go of wanting, let go of all the things that you hold on a little too tightly to. You'll know what they are. Let go. Put them down for a while or let them go. Breathe them out. Just be. And with every breath in, filling up that space with light and warmth and possibility and gratitude and love and all the things that bring you joy and contentment in your life. Softening into the mat, easing out through your entire body. Letting the floor hold you. Letting the ground support you. Relaxing through your entire body. Allowing every single cell to soften and ease and breathe. No more blockages, no more restrictions, everything open, everything working, everything possible. Inhaling through your nostrils and exhaling through your mouth. Keeping that space, that internal space that you've created through your practice, keeping that space around you, that energetic space that you've created through your practice and your intention. Keeping your eyes gently closed, gently coming over now to your right side. Moving to your right side. Still letting the floor support you and hold you. Feeling that you are in your body. Your mind, body, and spirit yoked together. Your strongest self when you're all together, not scattered. Strong and united. Fully you. Taking a deep breath in, still with eyes closed, gently bringing yourself up to sitting. Bringing your hands to heart center. And rubbing your hands together, rubbing the palms of your hands together, pushing the palms together. So not just a quick light rub, push them together and then rub firmly and then cup those nice energized palms against your eyes, blinking into that space, that soft space. Taking a deep inhale and then gently bringing your hands to heart center and namaste. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining you together on the mat. And I hope you have a wonderful, lovely, 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 lovely day.